Welcome back. Now, coming up next, Maybank Investment's Andrew Lee will be joining us live in our studio to take questions on the NSTP Media Prima deal. But before we get to that, we managed to get another view on the buyout from analyst Navin Singh of Kumpulan Sentiasa Cemerlang.
I feel that the current offer right now is much better. Obviously, it's in terms of value, it's 20% higher than the previous one, which was a 1-for-1 share swap with a free warrant. So in terms of value, it's much better because it's 20% higher. However, there are some people who still disagree and think that the value is still, or rather the offer is not good enough, as it's currently still way below New Straits Times offer, NTA of about 450. What I feel is that these assets are mostly in the form of plant and equipment, and as a going concern, it makes sense. However, if you're going to sell it off, right, you're not going to be able to get market value for it. Lots of other printing presses and newspaper companies, they already have their own machinery and plants, so why would they want to buy this? And even if they want to buy it, say probably for expansion purposes, they are definitely not going to pay market value for it. So I feel that value is more of a theoretical value. The NT is more of a theoretical value rather than real value here. The next thing I think is you have to keep in mind is that currently Media Prima owns about 43% of New Straits Times, and it's not going to be a problem for them to increase their stake to above 51%. Now, once they increase their stake above 51% and they, let's say they make a new GO, that new GO is going to be based on the 2009's earnings, which according to current consensus estimates is about 80% lower than the 2008's earnings per share. So which the current GO is based on. So I think that's another thing that shareholders should keep in mind. I don't think that Media Prima would want to go that way because they want to consolidate, but it's just something that current shareholders should keep in mind.
Right, and with that in mind, we come to our highlight for tonight. Now, in the middle of last month, media conglomerate Media Prima Berhad announced it would initiate a conditional takeover offer of Malaysia's largest newspaper publisher, New Straits Times Publishing, or NSTP. With Media Prima already owning just over 43% of NSTP, its original offer to shareholders to buy over the remaining shares at RM2 apiece was later revised upwards to 1.2 Media Prima shares for every share held in NSTP. That's 40 cents more apiece. Will this revision make the offer more attractive to NSTP's minority shareholders? Well, to help us get an idea of what to expect, it's my pleasure to welcome to the studio tonight Maybank Investment Bank's Head of Research, Andrew Lee. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, great to be here.
Okay, now you heard what Navin Singh of Kumpulan Sentiasa Cemerlang had to say. Now, at a 40-cent premium over the initial offer price of RM2, what do you think of MPB's new offer? Do you agree with Navin or not?
Yeah, I do agree. It is a much better offer, but I have to say you're coming from a position where the initial offer was really very marginal for minority shareholders, and I think there was a very good chance that quite a number of, particularly the individual shareholders, had probably got into the stock somewhere above RM2. So it was going to be difficult to persuade them to give up the shares, to accept the offer. So and this current offer is 1.2 Media Prima shares for every NSTP share. That works out to about 215 given the Media Prima share price, and you add on a 40-cent tax-exempt dividend. So it's actually worth 255 at least, even if you don't consider the free warrant. So it is an offer which is higher than the recent price. So I would expect it will be quite attractive even to the individual shareholders.
But what were probably the most likely reasons the offer was revised in the first place? Any idea?
I think there was, I suppose there's the Media Prima management was very keen to ensure that they had an offer on the table that everyone was going to accept, and they were very keen to ensure that they were going to get 90 or 100% acceptances quite easily. I think that would be the main reason. And looking at, I think they were concerned primarily about the individual shareholders, the mom and pops who may have had, who probably constituted somewhere between 20 to 25% of the total shareholders. So there was a chance that perhaps they were not going to get the 75% acceptances, which would have prevented them from delisting. So I think they wanted to very quickly sort of like close that possibility.
So now with the current offer, what's the likelihood that minority shareholders will accept the offer? And also, for you said mom and pops were probably the deciding factor here, but EPF, as the largest stakeholder in both MPB and NSTP, how do you think that will fare for both sides?
Well, certainly for the individual shareholders, I think it is now very attractive. I think there is very little reason for them not to accept the offer. For the larger shareholders and for the corporate shareholders, particularly those who are who hold both Media Prima and NST, I think it is still a reasonably good offer for the well, it's a very good offer on the NSTP side, but because it is earnings accretive still, you will still see a benefit to Media Prima's earnings per share. I think it is still for Media Prima shareholders, it is still one which is, I think, quite palatable. I don't think there would be dissatisfaction on the way the whole thing was managed. So I think it's pretty much a win-win situation for both of them, particularly now that I think that the management of Media Prima have made another acquisition, which makes the whole thing even more attractive, the whole acquisition.
Okay, we'll talk about that other acquisition after the break. But very quickly, before we do go into a commercial, legally speaking, Media Prima will need to get 90% over acceptances before they can take NSTP private. So do you think that they will actually get this kind of acceptance?
Yes, I think there's a very good chance that will happen, and without any further sort of revisions. Yep. Yes.
Okay, so let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll discuss that new acquisition from Media Prima. We'll be back right after this. We're still taking your questions. Stockwatch at tv3.com.my. We'll be back right after this.